Small world, the world of informative flashcards. Flashcards and Political Ideologies, Part 1. Political ideology, anarchism. Anarchism is a type of political philosophy and movement that is against all forms of authority and rejects involuntary and forceful notions of hierarchy. Anarchism calls for the abolition of the state, which it holds to be undesirable, unnecessary, and harmful. Historically, it is commonly associated with anti-capitalism and socialism. Proponent, Joseph Proudhon Pierre. Political ideology, authoritarianism. Authoritarianism is a form of a political ideology that rejects political pluralism. It employs strong central power to preserve its political status. Authoritarianism regimes may be either autocratic, oligarchic, and military in nature. Military dictatorships are the most common examples of authoritarianism. Proponent, Juan Linz in 1960s. Political ideology, communitarianism. Communitarianism is an ideology which stresses on the connection between the individual and the community. Its main belief is that an individual's identity and personality is shaped by relationships within the community, with a smaller degree of development being stressed upon individualism. Proponent, John Goodwin Barmby. Political ideology, communism. Communism is a social, philosophical, political, and economic ideology whose main objective is the formation of a society where there is common ownership and the means of production are owned by the common masses, without the presence of social classes, money, and the state. Proponents, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Political ideology, conservatism. Conservatism is a cultural, social, and political philosophy that promotes and seeks to preserve traditional social institutions. The core principles of conservatism may vary from region to region depending on the traditions and practices of the region, but they all oppose modernism and seek a return to traditional values. Proponent, Edmund Burke. Political ideology, corporatism. Corporatism is a political ideology which advocates the organization of society by corporate groups, such as agricultural, labor, military, business, scientific, or guild associations, on the basis of their common interests. Proponents, Plato, Smither. Political ideology, democracy. Democracy refers to a form of government where the people have the power to choose their governing legislators or the authority to decide on the legislation. Proponent, Aristotle. Political ideology, environmentalism. Environmentalism is a broad ideology and social movement that is concerned with environmental protection and improvement of the ecology so that both humans and animals can live peacefully in their respective environments. Proponent, Alfred W. Crosby. Political ideology, fascism. Fascism, a political ideology which espouses authoritarianism, ultranationalism, with characteristics of dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition and rigidity of society and economy. Proponent, Benito Mussolini. Political ideology, Nazism. Nazism is a form of fascism, with disdain for liberal democracy and the parliamentary system. It incorporates a dictatorship, fervent anti-Semitism, anti-communism, scientific racism, white supremacy, social Darwinism, and the use of eugenics into its creed. Proponent, Adolf Hitler. Political ideology, identity politics. Identity politics is an ideological as well as a political approach where people of a particular race, religion, gender, social background, or any other identifying factors develop political agendas that are based on issues which may affect their lives. Proponents, Combahee River Collective Group of Women in 1977. Political ideology, feminism. Feminism is a range of social movements, political movements, and ideologies that aim to define and establish the political, economic, personal, and social equality of the genders. Proponent, Virginia Woolf. Political ideology, liberalism. Liberalism is a political and moral philosophy based on liberty, consent of the governed and equality before the law. Proponents, John Locke and Thomas Hobbes. Political ideology, libertarianism. Libertarianism is a political ideology with liberalism as a core principle of its core foundation. Proponent, John Locke. Political ideology, nationalism. Nationalism is an idea and movement that holds that the nation should be congruent with the state. As a movement, nationalism tends to promote the interests of a particular nation, especially with the aim of gaining and maintaining the nation's sovereignty, self-governance, over its homeland. Proponent, Napoleon Bonaparte. Political ideology, populism. Populism is a political stance which stresses on the idea of people and often spins a narrative of people versus a group of elites. Proponent, Edward Shills. Political ideology, progressivism. Progressivism is a philosophy in politics that supports social reform. It is based on the idea that progress and advancements in science, technology, and economic development are vital to the improvement of humanity as a whole. Proponent, John Dewey. Political ideology, capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system in which private individuals or businesses own capital goods. At the same time, business owners, capitalists, employ workers, labor, who only receive wages. Labor does not own the means of production, but only uses them on behalf of the owners of capital. Proponent, Adam Smith. Political ideology, socialism. Socialism is a social and economic doctrine that calls for public rather than private ownership or control of property and natural resources. Proponents, Marx and Engels. Political ideology, totalitarianism. Totalitarianism is a form of government and a political system that prohibits all opposition parties, outlaws individual and group opposition to the state and its claims, and exercises an extremely high, if not complete degree of control and regulation over public and private life. Proponent, Karl Joachim Friedrich. Political ideology, Marxism. Marxism is a social, economic and political philosophy that analyses the impact of the ruling class on the laborers, leading to uneven distribution of wealth and privileges in the society. It stimulates the workers to protest the injustice. Proponent, Karl Marx.